guys, how's it going? Eli here, back with another video where today we're going to be having a conversation about some exciting potential new reprints happening for specialty ETBs. Without further ado, let's just jump into it. As always, it is a Monday, and so because of that, we are doing our weekly giveaway winner announcement. So 3 winners each and every week announced on Monday live, so I'll never message you directly because I am not a scammer that owns a Telegram. And so with that being said, if you want to enter in Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you comment and like on our pre-recorded videos. And then of course, as well on any of those videos, you can comment and like, of course, for each of the 3. So multiple opportunities to enter and then 3 winners each and every week. So drum roll for the first 3 winners of the week. It is iSkilled99, Tree to Leaf, Makoya Ondu, and then FJ Cards Fine. So shout out to you 3. As always, thank you so much for commenting and liking on the YouTube videos for the week. If you want to claim your prizes, please feel free to message me on Discord or email me, and I will try to get back to you as soon as I can. Thank you once again so much for your guys' support. We'll go through the verification process once you've messaged me. But now jumping into today's topic. So there was a bunch of reports going around on the Twitterverse, for those people that do, of course, stay up to date on Twitter, having to do with the fact that Champions Path reprints were potentially being shown. And it was something that someone had, quote unquote, leaked a screenshot of. And here, let's see if I can pull it up on the other screen just for you guys to see. But as you guys can see here, this was an image that was taken on one of the distributors' page. And it doesn't, of course, show what the general prices are, which I guess, I guess that's technically not a breach of contract because of the way they cropped it. But, there's an argument to be made because I know which distributor this is because it's my distributor who I work with. And basically, to give a little bit of a confirmation on whether or not we're getting a reprint for Champions Path or not, we are not. We are going to be getting some more product from that one distributor's page. However, this is not the first time where this specific distributor happened to have found a back supply of it. Now, it is entirely possible that, and I could be wrong, it is entirely possible that it could be a reprint, but let me explain to you why I don't think it is. I called up my sales rep, shout out to Caleb. He basically talked to me and explained that, hey, the numbers that I'm pulling in on this don't look like a reprint. Usually they have a way of telling if it's a reprint or not, and he said that the numbers for both the double as well as the Elite Trainer box were tiny. So unless it was something that was of a reprint size, it could be a tiny reprint. That's entirely possible, and they just got the small end of it. But more than likely, from what has been expressed, it was not a reprint. It was just a small resupply of product that they, of course, were charging to retailers that wanted to purchase it. Now you got to be asking yourself, well, Eli, of course, as we've taken a look at some other resupply products, prices have, of course, dropped in the past before when stuff like that happens, right? That's entirely possible, and who knows, it might happen if this is something that's just not on this one specific, distributor's page and other distributors got access to it, if this does happen to be a reprint. But I will tell you first and foremost, this distributor is charging, what is the exact number? They're charging 40-50% above MSRP for these items, specifically the Champions Path. And then the ETB and then the double, they are charging MSRP. So if you're expecting prices to go down based off of just them having it and not other distributors, and I could be wrong, like I said, some other distributors could potentially have it, I wouldn't be holding your breath necessarily if this is it, because there's no money to be made when there's a $20 difference from the ETBs between the market price. Now, of course, I could be wrong, and if we go in right now and we just, of course, take a look, and see within the past month, the prices have started to go down. But, as far as the reprint news goes, as we can see here, or whatever it is, if it is a reprint, that was September 15th. You look at September 15th, you haven't really seen much price movement. This was more or less just general price volatility without the period, right? We pulled this out to a lot larger of a time frame. It's just up and down, up and down, up and down. So prices have not moved yet in terms of this. And if you really want to play the game and say to yourself, like, all right, well, this is a small reprint and sure they overcharged it, you could potentially see a price drop. I mean, I guess we could try and go pull up some ETB comparisons. Maybe a Brilliant Star comparison, because we just had a recent Brilliant Star one. But you obviously saw price corrections being made on this one, even if it was just a couple of dollars. And I think the biggest fear that I generally have is that you're saying to yourself that, well, this was a bigger resupply and the prices were already more affordable. This was a small resupply and we don't even know if it's a reprint, because the reprint for, let's say, like the booster box for Evolving Skies, that was something every distributor had, right? So until we hear for further notice that there is more of the ETBs available from other distributors, because the image for the ETB reprint, it was going around from just this screenshot. It was all just this screenshot. See, this is from December 28, 2020. So that's literally it in terms of images that were floating around. It was all from the same distributor. So I would just like to believe that more than likely it was just a small resupply, because I've seen this happen before, man. I've seen this happen before. I've made videos about it where we had Rebel Clash products show up and people were like, Rebel Clash reprint? And it wasn't a Rebel Clash reprint, guys. That's quite obvious, especially considering back when they were doing it, they were charging $150, $160 for the booster box, and the price of the booster boxes at the time for market were $180. So that's not going to change prices much, in the grand scheme of things. So I wouldn't get your hopes up too much. However, one thing I did find quite interesting, and once again talking to my distributor, he said more than likely this looks like a reprint because they had a large amount of this product just come in. It's Shining Fates Elite Trainer boxes, which is bizarre to me. And, my distributors, they're charging $5 over wholesale, so they did increase their prices on this. Who knows if the prices are going to stay there if they do end up moving, because let's be honest here, guys, like Shining Fates, it's still, still pretty cheap, all things considered. Like you're paying MSRP here on TCG Player, which is known for, typically speaking, some premiums on certain ETB products. But there's other places you can probably find it for $45 to $40 and cheaper. So in terms of, us getting a Shining Fates reprint is very bizarre to me that we would get something like that after we just got one back in, May, I think it was? April? And like I said before, he said he got a large amount of them, which a large amount means that it's a large enough to where whether it was a reprint or not, it would still affect the market more or less. The question, of course, is, like I said, they're charging us $5 over wholesale for them. If it's something where we're only getting them off of this one, of course, distributor's page, then, it could potentially drop prices a little bit or maybe not. It ultimately just comes down to how evidential it is as a full-on reprint compared to just a resupply. But if we are saying that based on the numbers that we are going to be getting a Shining Fates Elite Trainer reprint, and my specific LGS is just overcharging, or not LGS, sorry, a distributor is just overcharging, you could see prices on this come down a decent amount, And obviously this was something that just recently happened within the past week or so. And, prices haven't really done much if we're just looking at it yet. It's just the same kind of downtrend action that we've been seeing for a while. So who knows what the overall pricing is going to be in terms of overall print. The only thing I can say to this is, even though I don't agree with, or I don't necessarily make sense of it, why is it a Shining Fates reprint? And the same argument I feel like you can make for Champion's Path here. is that we obviously are looking at the Vivid Voltage prices, right? Vivid Voltage is still at or below MSRP. The Darkness Ablaze ETB reprints are at or below MSRP. For the most part, it's vastly below MSRP. When you're talking about Sword and Shield ETBs, they're slightly above to around MSRP. And when you're taking a look at, let's see, any other ones that I can think of in the rotation, I think that's it as far as it goes. If we're talking about what's at or above MSRP or below MSRP, the other ones that, of course, Shining Fates is at MSRP or below it. Obviously, we're directly talking about it. So it doesn't make sense to me why you would do necessarily a reprint for this product when you have Rebel Clash ETBs, which are well above their MSRP price points. And then, of course, if they do have a Champions Path reprint, that one would make more sense that it would occur. But if they're saying a small resupply, it doesn't make sense if that's something that were just to have happened from one distributor. But I don't know. Like I said, this is something that we're just having this conversation because pictures were showing up on Twitter. I was having conversations with my distributor. But what does make the most sense to me is that this, if it were to happen, it would be happening now. Because let's think about this, guys. We had, if you look at reprints within the past 6 months, we've had Evolving Skies, and that was for the booster boxes. Everything else has been ETB reprints. And as we've mentioned before, the Pokemon company loves to do reprints for items all at once. So when you talk about the fact that we just literally back in, April, May, Vivid Voltage, Darkness Ablaze, and Shining Fates ETB reprints. Within the past month or two here, Evolving Skies, Fusion Strike, Brilliant Star ETB reprints, and what potentially looks like Shining Fates Champions Path for at least resupplies, if not potentially reprints. And for those people that want to know what resupply means versus reprints, resupply just basically means that a distributor, just one specific distributor, was able to access product because they were able to buy it from a third party. Or maybe they were able to buy it just specifically from the Pokemon company and then they're reselling it, versus a reprint is something where every single distributor gets access to it. So those are two completely different things. It's like basically when the resupply happened for the Lost Thunder and Fates Collide Build and Battle pre-release kits. When that happened, it was a resupply, but it was a large resupply to the point of where everyone, all distributors were able to gain access to it. And so you saw the prices on those two specific XY and Sun and Moon Air products tank. So resupplies can still have an effect on the market. They're still important to follow and understand, which is why we're having this conversation to begin with. The question really just comes down to what great effect, and considering those products, the Lost Thunder and the Fates Collide were available for several weeks, versus the Champions Path, quote unquote resupply was only available for a day or two. That doesn't really bode well. Now, Shining Fates, on the other hand, Shining Fates is still available as I'm looking on my distributor's page as we speak. So that's something that at least, that does intrigue me, because then that says that, hey, the fact that these are still in supply means that it is 100% correct. I mean, I never would have doubted that they weren't available for purchase at the moment, but it makes me more hopeful that if something's going to drop, it's going to be the Shining Fates Elite Trainer boxes, right? And if we want to go back, like I said, we obviously looked at the Brilliant Star ETBs because we wanted to take a little bit of a look and see what the price correction is on that. We want to go back and see how's Evolving Skies ETBs doing, because those are still available on my distributor's page, except they're charging us wholesale or MSRP is what they're charging us. So yeah, prices have kind of found their bottom on TCG Player. So you really just got to ask yourself, is this something that the Pokemon company is just living up to what it's done historically, and it's tying everything together, it's reprinting everything ETB wise all together at once? And if so, why do they do such a small supply of Champions Path unless we're going to be getting more in the future? And if so, is Rebel Clash next? Because that's it. That's literally the one where we go back and we say to ourselves, which one outside of Champions Path is the most expensive of the product available. And this one's going for $121, $122. This is crazy expensive, right? And that's entirely possible. You know, it would make sense to me that they would do that for Rebel Clash. It would make sense to me if they would do that for Champion's Path. But at the end of the day, you know, this is just a resupply so far. It's not a full-on confirmation of a reprint. So I don't want to be the bearer of bad news in terms of what's going on with Champion's Path. You could potentially see pack prices go down on at least the double. That makes the most sense, because since we were buying at MSRP and it's about $12 on average above MSRP, that could potentially slice the prices down to closer to MSRP, but who knows? You know, I could be off on that. I would love to see the price correction on that happen. I highly doubt we would see that reflected in the charts right now, so I would definitely monitor that within the next week or two if that's something you're interested in following from a price perspective point. Let's see if we can take a look at this on the charts. Here we go. Yeah, I mean, nothing here is being shown in terms. I mean, look, you don't even have much supply that's being listed, let alone on the price status sheet. So, and it's just been going up. So, nothing really to see here at this moment in time. So, but and then with Shining Fates, I don't see it dropping much. If you guys are saying to yourself, all right, well, Eli, if this is a reprint, do you expect Shining Fates to drop much? I mean, it could, but are you really going to say to yourself that if this is a full-on restock and every other distributor is gaining access to the product, that this is going to all of a sudden drop it down to at wholesale prices? I mean, it's possible, but I think your absolute bottom is probably going to be $45, which you're, for the most part, able to find $45 opportunities here and there. So I don't think it's going to go down to that $35 wholesale mark. I could be wrong. I could be completely off base, but you don't really see that happen too often in terms of specialty ETBs. That's just not something that's common. I can't really think of that since owning the online retail store that I've had the opportunity to buy it at wholesale when looking on the secondhand market. So, but as far as it goes, guys, that's kind of the main news when talking about the reprint conversation. Really just, is this a reprint or not? That's up for you guys to decide. Of course, take everything I say with a grain of salt, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, but I personally am going to say I don't think this is a reprint. It's just a resupply. Shining Fates, based on what the numbers we're getting, it's more than likely going to be a reprint. Prices could potentially drop $5 on this. Who knows? I could be wildly off base and it could drop more, could not drop at all. And then Champion's Path with the resupply, I don't really expect prices to move much unless this is a resupply that every distributor would get, which at that point it would be a reprint, because it's still a set that's in rotation, and it's going to be in rotation for at least another 3 to 6 months is what the expectation is. But as always, if you want to enter into our weekly giveaways, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the YouTube channel. We post pre-recorded content each and every week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, for you to do that. Since we're going to also have 3 winners each and every week, and you can comment and like in each videos, that gives you 3 opportunities to enter and 3 opportunities to win. But that is all for today's video. Thank you guys all so much for watching. Until then, I will see you all on Wednesday. Peace.